Good morning, everyone. Lovely that you are joining me to listen to this. And I am so excited and I've been so looking forward to this discussion and sharing this podcast with you. We are joined this morning with the wonderful Paula Immo, who is a success and happiness coach. I just want to start by saying we haven't pre-planned anything. We're just going to work with our intuition, work with the divinity of our words and our conversation, and let come through what is meant to come through. So, Paula, welcome.
Thank you, Julianne. It is wonderful to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving your time and gracing us with your knowledge, experience, expertise, and wisdom. So, Paula, I wanted to start with a true story from a group that I ran this week. And I always find it interesting when you connect in discussion with, people that are kind of specialists in their field and really dedicate their footprint as you have to happiness and bringing out the whole fulfillment of the success within. Just how we have one or two experiences that sometimes, really fit around the discussion. So on Monday evening, one of the groups that I run, Beyond Your Business, we had a discussion on the importance of our spiritual alignment and our emotional and mindful alignment that follows that spiritual alignment. And one of those alignments is happiness. So we all joined in conversation to say how much work we'd put in and that, we're in our spiritual connection. And beautiful conversations, but deep within me, I kind of felt that there were some weeds that maybe through fear or through how our defense mechanism works, that we weren't really getting into the truth of our alignment. So it came into my intuition to ask just one question. And that question was, how many of us are truly happy in our business? And nobody could say yes. And yet we was in the thought of, well, we are aligned, we're meditating, we're in sacred space, we're doing this regularly. But when we owned our truth, we weren't truly happy. And yet happiness is such, as you know, is such a pivotal emotion in a spiritual alignment. And I just kind of wanted to open the discussion for your thoughts or opinions on that, or any guidance you could give us.
That is such a deep and rich topic. And it's probably something we all experience. And it is, in my experience, it is very scary as well to admit that, I'm using myself as an example. I started my own coaching business over 10 years ago. Through all kinds of realizations and discoveries I made and insights I gained through my own life experiences. And then through different curveballs that life threw at me, and then going through those and fully experiencing them and learning my lessons through those experiences, I knew that I needed to pursue another career, because the old career, I was in the corporate world for 10 years, but that career was somebody else's dream for me. It was not my dream for me. And then I started to pursue my dream. And of course, I wanted to align spiritually. I wanted it to really be born through me, so that I would be really doing what I felt that needed to be done in this world.
Yeah.
But then there are so many things around us, so many ideas how you should run your business, how you should be doing things, what is right, what is wrong. And when I was listening all that outside advice, I lost connection with myself, and I started to do those things in my business that I thought I need to do in able to be successful. But then I realized that I was not happy. I was in a situation where I wasn't happy, even though I was pursuing my dreams. And for me, it was a scary thing to admit that, okay, I am not happy. And then really start to think about that. How do I change this? Is there something that I can do? Because in those moments when we are totally run by fear, it feels like it's everybody else's fault, that, okay, somebody else needs to change, or something else, or a circumstance or a situation or an event needs to change so that I can be happy. But what I learned is that it never is about the outside forces. It is our innate ability to really locate this state of inner peace within us, regardless of what's going on outside. And also the inner feeling of excitement about life, regardless of what's going on outside of us. And what I've learned is that this is not a one-time event, because I've started doing changes in my business. And I thought that, okay, now I'm clear. I'm all clear. I'm done. Now I've found a way to do the business and I can be happy again. But just earlier this year, I found myself in a situation where I realized that I'm not happy. I could see it in the results that I was creating in life, and even in business results and in money flow. And I realized that I wasn't happy. I was doing and focusing on what others expected me to do, and not following the inner guidance and the deeper wisdom that was coming through me. And I really needed to pull back from collaborations, from the old ways of doing business. And that is always scary, because we don't yet know what's to come. But what I've learned over the years, and many of my clients too, is that it is a mistake. It's not a mistake to pull away, even though in those moments, for me, for example, pulling away from a collaboration earlier this year, I was full of doubts that whether it was the biggest mistake I've made in my life. But then after looking what's behind, what's on the other side of that fear, we always come to notice that even the bigger mistake would be not to follow that wisdom, not to follow that often quiet voice inside, which is leading us towards more fulfillment, always leading us towards living according to our values and the deeper purpose. And sometimes we think that that's not happiness, but that's actually part of happiness. And that's it. For us to be happy, it means that we need to be ready to feel the uncomfortable feelings and do the uncomfortable things when we know it's the right thing. And that's the way to fulfillment. So I don't know if I answered your question, but what I realized that it's never a one-time event. And quite often we find ourselves in situations that we realize that we aren't happy. And that is always an opportunity for us to really tune in how we're feeling, what our emotions are, and digging into that data, because I believe that feelings are data and they're an important input on what's going on in our lives. What's the truth of our life experience? And then using that data together with our reasoning and rationality, we get to make decisions that truly amplify our well-being and happiness in this world. And through that, through that, the happiness and well-being of others as well.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I got so much from that. The two things that really resonated with me is the impact of fear and feeling unsafe, and how that maybe can strip our happiness, or take our happiness. And on the other side of that, what you mentioned there is being really self-aware and have the consciousness of our own values, what is important to us, and really understanding life as a foundation of happiness. Do you think that sometimes we don't give that enough consideration, that the external expectations of life can take that consciousness and actually create more fear if we're not careful?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And it's, I think also that if we don't tune in often enough and reflect upon ourselves, we don't notice the differences. We don't notice whether we are following the fear or following the enjoyment. And in a group that I'm leading about happiness practice, where I'm facilitating this happiness practice where people practice happiness on a daily basis through 5 principles of happiness. And we were just discussing with this one group about the mid-assessment results, because we have baseline where we set where we establish where we are with our happiness and burnout, because they are linked together always. We can't talk about happiness without talking about burnout. And then there is the midpoint assessment and post-assessment. And we are in the middle of the course. So we had the midpoint assessment results coming in. And then one of the participants said that he almost skipped the assessment because he was thinking that nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. Nothing has shifted really. But when he decided to take the assessment, and when he took it, and he consciously started to reflect upon what had happened during the past 3 months, he noticed that how many things had shifted, what changes had happened. And that's where I think is the key, that we need to be aware of these things. We need to consciously give ourselves an opportunity to reflect upon these things so that we can be aware. And it doesn't always come automatically in the hurdles of everyday lives, because the outside events, circumstances, situations, people, they so easily take our full attention that we forget to tune in.
Yeah, and tuning in, and you mentioned the power of reflection there, which is kind of time out, isn't it? Retreat, pause, stop, consider even. Thank you. And my next question to you is, about 10 years ago, I came out of a mainstream job. I'd been self-employed for a little while. I decided to burn the bridges and go all out in the kind of coaching and consultancy field, but actually really go in to start the journey of going into the pinnacle of my potential. Looking back, I mean, hindsight is a beautiful thing. We don't always have it at the time. But I can now, I didn't know then, I can identify now that there was some kind of lack of esteem or self-worth that created a feeling of I'm not enough. And I think that came from external expectations, both within childhood, the education system, and then the working environment that I was in, and the expectations and trends and demands that had on me took some of my identity. I allowed it to take some of my identity and some of my spirit, and it created a sense of where I am isn't enough. But what I came to realize walking this journey in business from a place of beyond it, from a place of spiritual alignment, is that I had complete abundance. I just couldn't feel it. I couldn't see it. I couldn't sense it. And it's only through life's progression and life's losses and gains that I started to realize I had health, I had family and friends and a roof and a breath, and I could see the sun and things that I never really considered because I was too hooked up in thinking that to be successful, there was a measurement of external gratification and almost status that I was seeking as an inner fulfillment, only to learn that that couldn't give it me, only to learn that I had everything and always have had everything that I need. Do you think that we have lost that inner appreciation and gratitude through the way that we are systemized or expected to be?
Yeah, I believe it comes a lot from our upbringing and then the way that the business life is established, for example. But I also believe it comes through the fact that how our brain operates. As it's been researched that it's easier to focus on negative things than to focus on things that are already working. So the terms that I'm using is I'm using that thing that whether we're focusing on things that are not yet working or things that are already working. And that's one thing that really requires our conscious awareness, that when we are kind of looking and seeking to get that inner fulfillment from the outside things, which is a totally silly idea when you think about it, that we actually believe that we will get inner fulfillment from something that is outside of us. It doesn't work that way, but that's how our business life is kind of set up. That's how people think that they get motivated. And that's something that I could talk for days. But what I want to say, in that race, we forget to tune in to what already is working, what already is good in our lives. And only when we start to bring that even a little bit into our days and everyday way of living and being, that's when things start to change, because that shift is massive. When you start to filter in also the good things, because the truth is that at the same time, when there are uncomfortable things happening, there are many comfortable things in our lives as well. But we don't see those. And when we are facing challenges, then there are opportunities at the same time, but we can't see them if we are fully focused on only having challenges. So we need to teach ourselves to see the opportunities, to see the good in our life as well. Yeah. And that's what I think is our journey from head to heart, really combining those two, because with head, it's easy to focus on the bad things, what's not working yet. But our hearts want to explore the things also that are already working. Yeah. And then that's it. But it is, I mean, this is one of the mysteries of life, isn't it? That how the world is sort of set up at the moment in a way where people are meant to believe that if you position yourself higher than, better than, more than, that's where you get the fulfillment. Yeah. And that's the only kind of persons we need to look up to. But if you do that, in my experience, that's not where you find fulfillment. That's not where you find satisfaction. That's not where you find gratitude. That's where you find this constant race of catching up with somebody who is better than, more than, higher than you. And we feel empty inside, and we keep feeling empty inside. But when we realize that that's mind created, that's not the truth, that's when we are actually setting ourselves free. And then we can connect with each other, and we can actually have a relationship with human to human. And I think there is beauty in that. And that's what we've forgotten in today's world. Absolutely. Lots of the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. So my last question would be, what are your recommendations for cultivating happiness in our lives, in our leadership, in the workplace, and in our business?
There are so many things, but there are so many things. But I would say that the best way to start, this is going to sound so lame, but the best way to start is to practice being present. Because so many times we are either ruminating in the past or worrying about the future, that we don't see what's really happening in this situation. And we can only enjoy when we are present. We can't, because past and future are abstract ideas in our mind. They're not places where we can go. There is no yesterday where we can go or tomorrow where we can go. There's only today. And learning to be present, because I think it all starts in the level of being. When we focus on who and what we want to be, that automatically changes the way we do and behave and act.
Yeah.
And that creates a massive shift. But in order for that to happen, we need to notice, to become aware of whether we are ruminating in the past or worrying about the future, or whether we really are present in this moment and ready to feel both the uncomfortable and comfortable emotions that come with it.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much. I mean, I think that, that's given me so much to work with, to feel into, to think about, and to actually give the time and the attention to my own happiness and health and well-being, which is it's an important consideration, isn't it, that maybe we underestimate.
Yeah, and even research, it's not only me believing, but research has shown that when we before thought that we need to be successful in order to be happy, we now know that the opposite is true, that when we're happy, we're successful. And then when we're happy, we usually define success in a very different way.
Yeah.
And I think that this is something that if we consider it's gonna change the world, the way we do business and the way we do life, because it starts from the level of being.
Yeah, absolutely. Paula, thank you for being with us today and sharing your lovely words of wisdom. Really appreciate it, and we hope that at some point you will come and share again. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You are very welcome. And just one last question for anybody that would like to know more about you, more about your work, or maybe becoming part of your community. Where can they find you?
I hang out mostly on LinkedIn. So Paula Immo on LinkedIn. That's where you'll find me. Come connect with me, and connect with me on DMs as well. And let's get to know each other.
That's lovely. I shall certainly be connecting with you there, my love. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone, and take care. Have a great day.